And they can do it themselves. They can go on the portal themselves and they can accept their offer, their seat offer.
So you heard it. You heard it, folks. There are 4 ways for you to accept your offer. You can do it on your own, visit your school or community-based organization to accept your offer. You can call the hotline. You can also visit one of our Chicago Early Learning family resource centers that are located within Chicago Public Libraries. Tasha, I'm so glad to have you here in Circle Time Convos. This is episode 4 for us, and we're going to be talking about the waitlist. We're going to be dispelling those myths and solving those problems and questions that families have about the waitlist. So glad to have you here.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm so excited to be here.
So we're going to start this episode off with a game that I love, and I'm sure it's a childhood game that you know, red light, green light, and we're going to use that as a way to dispel myths. That's one of the ways that we tackle myths here in the circle. So let's get started.
Okay, let's get ready. I'm ready.
So the first question that we have to get to the point of is this pre-K waitlist being random and first come, first serve? So let's get our paddles. All right, so I'm going to ask you now, is the pre-K waitlist random? Is it first come, first serve? Is that the truth or is that a myth?
That is a myth.
That's a myth for
That's
me
a
too.
myth.
Tell me what you're thinking.
So the preschool wait list is not a first come, first serve. So you can apply and get on the wait list when the application open, during an initial application window, or anytime throughout the school year, because the application is open year round. Waitlist is not a random thing. It's based on the information you put on your application. So it's based on, we try to service the highest needs families first. And so it's based on the socioeconomical factors. So the child's age, income,
homeless status,
the
right?
homeless,
So
if they STLS, they are foster care,
exactly.
Family, the child have special needs.
Exactly.
And so that's what is based on, and everybody receives points.
And I think that's what gets tricky for families because they think, oh, I got on the wait list in April, but my neighbor who just applied, May, was on the wait list and my neighbor got a seat. But what they don't realize is that just what you mentioned, right? All of those different things award you points, right? So every time you have an application, you get points. And we are trying to serve those families who are most in need first. And so if your neighbor has more points than you, then obviously that neighbor is going to be prioritized first for the seat, and they'll come off of the wait list. So another question. Okay, so that was good for that one. Okay, let's go to the next one. So another question we hear a lot, and I want to dispel this myth, is if I apply and at all of my choices, I'm waitlisted, does that mean I have no other options?
No.
Right. Okay, so tell us why.
You have lots of options. Chicago Early Learning has many programs throughout the city of Chicago. You can do some research and research some schools by going to Chicago Early Learning website and just locate schools, go check them out, visit the programs if you can. Put those schools on your application to make sure you rank them in the order that you're interested in applying for those schools.
Yeah, I think, so many families get so frustrated. And I think what's important for families to know is that, just like you said, there's over 377 schools in the district that offer pre-K programming. And there's probably 100 plus community-based organizations. So Chicago is a mixed delivery system. And so, just because you didn't get into the 5 schools or 5 programs that you apply to does not mean that there are not quality seats available across the city. So that was definitely a myth. Thank you for helping me dispel that. All right, Tasha, this is the last question. And this is a good one because this is one we get a lot. So a family's asking if they get an offer at another school, are they able to stay on the wait list to their preferred school?
Yes, they can definitely stay on the wait list, and we encourage them to accept the offer to the school that wasn't their first choice. Because the way the wait list works is, and so the first choice, they be like waitlisted. They'll see their wait list number and they can stay on that. The second choice, if they get an offer, they accept it. And the third, if they are third, fourth, and fifth choice, they'll receive a not offer. So the purpose is so they can get their best top choice and their top offer. And so they can stay on the wait list, and whenever an offer becomes available that the child qualifies for, then they will be notified.
I think that's going to make parents feel so relieved, because a lot of them, are in the mindset of, if I take this seat at this school that might be my second, third, fourth choice, then I miss the opportunity of getting in a school that I really want to get into. And that is not true.
Not the case at
So
all.
we want you to accept those offers, just like you said. Tell them, accept those offers, whatever, and then they'll be notified. So if that top spot or top school becomes available, they can accept it whenever it becomes available. But at least their child has a seat somewhere in the city.
Right. And they won't miss out on any good learning opportunities. So yeah, we want to make sure that accept the offers parents is very important.
Very important. Yeah. Thank you, Tasha. That was such a fun segment. I love that game. And so now we want to really transition and start talking about, once families apply, what happens behind the scene? Let's demystify that, because here in the circle, we're all about demystifying information and giving families the accurate and truthful information in our application process. So now that a family has applied, tell me a little bit of what happens next and what happens behind the scene.
Parents will be notified what offers they received. If they received any offers, they could be waitlisted or they could receive an offer. If a family is waitlisted, they can contact the Chicago Early Learning Hotline and someone can help them navigate and find another program. If a parent receives the offer, this is what we're hoping for. This is what we really, really want them to do. They can accept their offer, and then they can contact the school directly to do the verification process.
I did want to go back a step, right? Mm-hmm. So they apply, they set up their portal, they put all their family demographic information in, offers go out, they receive an offer. Talk a little bit about the different ways that they can accept their offer.
Okay. So they can, thank you, Leslie, thank you. So they can go accept their offer in multiple different ways. They can go to the school directly that they received the offer from, and they will accept the offer for them. They can visit one of the family resource centers at the libraries, and they'll accept the offer for them too. And they can do it themselves. They can go on the portal themselves and they can accept their offer, their seat offer.
So you heard it. You heard it, folks. There are 4 ways for you to accept your offer. You can do it on your own. Visit your school or community-based organization to accept your offer. You can call the hotline. You can also visit one of our Chicago Early Learning family resource centers that are located within Chicago Public Libraries, and we can share that information.
We can help them along the way. There's lots of opportunities because people work different schedules. People are nervous about different things. So we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to accept their offers in multiple different ways.
So after they accept it, the last step is to enroll and then ultimately attend, correct?
Right. So so they can gather their documentation. So that while they're waiting for the process, they can gather their documentations, their proof of income, proof of citizenship, and proof of the child's age. And I always like to say, I always get this from you, the birth certificate is not with the cute little footprints on it, but the official birth certificate. Make sure they grab that and bring that during the verification process.
For sure. We love the birth certificates with the cute little feet, but that is not the original. We need the original birth certificate. And we're also verifying proof of Chicago residency. So you have to make sure that you live within the city of Chicago.
So in order for a parent to complete the enrollment process, they have to do verification. They need proof of age. They need proof of residency. They have to be a City of Chicago resident in order for them to be a part of Chicago Early Learning. Proof of income.
I think it's like if they're siblings, so there is a sibling preference.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have a sibling in a school, then they need to, be prepared to verify that when they come to the school, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And it's typically the schools will help them with that process. Yeah, help them with the process because they have to verify that this child actually attends the school.
Correct.
Is currently enrolled in the school as well.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for clarifying that for us, because I know that, families always want to go behind the veil and kind of see what's happening and, what's considered when decisions are being made for placement. Tasha, I want to spend some time talking about, as we continue to dive into this wait list, I want to spend some time really helping families understand what happens and how the wait list moves. Right.
Okay.
So I want you to take a little bit of time to kind of walk them through, the changes that happens and how, families can move up or down the wait list at any time. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. And so the wait list is definitely not a first come, first serve. I just want to make sure I say that.
Yes.
So parents don't think because when they apply, they can get into the spot because they applied earlier. It's based on the information they put on the application, and parents are assigned points based on if they have a sibling, the child has a sibling in the current sibling in the program. If the parent is 1.5 miles away from the program, the family size and household income, and the socioeconomical structures, if it's a foster parent, temporary living situation, and then some other factors. So all of that is compiled together. And so families will get points. They get points based on this. And so once they get the points, that will determine what placement they will get into the program. They get on the wait list, and they can be number 2 on the wait list, for instance. So every night, the wait list changes.
Wait, I think we need to say that again because some folks, I just want to make sure it can change. So that means nightly. That means every night.
Every night. Every night it could change because some parents can apply who just heard about Chicago Early Learning, walking down the street, and they have a higher need. And so you might be number 2 or 3 on the wait list. And then when you come back the next morning, you're number 5 or 6.
And you're like, what happened?
Exactly. Like, what's happening here? And that's because our goal is to make sure that the children with the highest needs are able to get into a program.
The one thing I say is that it's reshuffled every night.
Every night.
So don't get, complacent or don't get fixated on what number you are at 8 o'clock in the morning, because depending on how many people apply during that day, it could change by Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think that's key for folks to walk away with. We also hear, from families about, all of our grants and funding for our preschool programs is really designed to serve students with greatest need. And so, I think it's important for us to take a step back and think about why is that so? And I think it's just a collective good, right? We know that there are families that are struggling to make ends meet, that are struggling with, housing situations. And so because of that, we want to make sure that we put them in connection with resources that are available within programs and within schools. And so that's why families with the greatest need are prioritized. So I'm a visual person. And so I think one way for me to explain this is to think about, I travel a lot also. So it's to think about when you're boarding an airplane, right? So particularly Southwest, let's just say that. So you know how Southwest has general boarding. So everybody's getting on the same airplane. However, those traveling with families are prioritized. We also prioritize those who need assistance. And that's the same way when we think about our pre-K application. We all want to go to school. We all want to get access to high quality education, but we need to prioritize those seats first for those who are in greatest need. And so it's a similar approach with our application process.
And I just want to encourage parents that CPS, the programs, not just CPS, but the Chicago Early Learning in general, has lots of programs. So there's lots of opportunities for families to find a wonderful Chicago Early Learning program, wonderful teachers, wonderful program, curriculum. Everything is just really good programs so the child can go to that next level, so they can be ready, kindergarten ready when it's time for them to go to kindergarten.
That's the goal.
And that's the goal. And so that's why, just because you don't get your first choice, and I know it could be a bummer because you want what you want, but there's a lot of different programs and opportunities for your child to be in a program, and it's tons. So don't worry. There's programs for you out here. Even if you're not the highest need, there's still tons of programs for your child to attend.
I think that's a great point. I think there's high quality programs throughout the city. And I think, we just have to, continue to elevate that for families so they're not disappointed if they don't get their first choice.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Just think about the child. It's about the children.
That's right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, Tasha, I think we've done a great job of answering some of the burning questions around the wait list. I do want to take some time now to think about, because here in the circle, we're all about bringing in family community voice. And so I do want to take some time to think about how can families help us improve the wait list process. So if we can share a little bit with them on how they can, send us their frustrations and help us problem solve around this issue.
They can contact the Chicago Early Learning Hotline. We listen to the parent, we gather their feedback, and we use a feedback loop with the City of Chicago, CPS, and DFSS to share some of the parents' concerns. And one of the things I can actually say, when you speak, we listen. One of the things before, a couple of years ago, we didn't have wait list numbers. So parents didn't know what the wait list number were. And so they were calling all of the time to see where they were on the wait list and why you don't have numbers. And we answer your call. We listen to what you had to say. You voice your concern. And we wanted to make sure that we help you along the way so you can know what you needed to do. Like if you're number 60 on the wait list, you're not probably going to typically get into that program. So you can think about other options instead of you getting your hopes up high that you're going to get into this program and this spot. So yeah.
I forgot about that. I forgot that there was that just shows elevation, right?
Yes.
I forgot there was a time that we did not have wait list numbers and it came from families. So I think it's amazing that you brought that to light. And so I want all families to know, we listen to you, we care about you, we take action. And so that's a prime example of showing we didn't have it before. Families was like, I want to know what number I am so I can make, like you said, an informed decision.
Make an educated decision about, and help complete surveys. If we get a survey out, just and voice your opinion about it. So,
so I think, so sharing the feedback through the hotline, completing surveys that come out through Chicago Early Learning Portal, visiting our website, if we ask for you to participate in any type of focus groups, all of those are opportunities to give voice into the process and wait lists specifically. And so we encourage you to participate when you're able.
Yes, really. We listen.
I love it.
We listen. We listen.
I love it. Tasha, normally we have a take-home packet, and that's when I give families to-dos, right? And I give them a call to action. But today, we've tackled this wait list. And sometimes when families are stuck, you don't need another thing to do, right?
Not at all.
And so what we want to do is really affirm families right now. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you give a word or two to affirm our listeners here in the circle.
One of the things I want to affirm is patience. Patience. You got to be patient during this process because our goal is we want all kids in programs. We want them learning. We want them to be kindergarten ready. So patience during the process. I think that's important for parents. And think about other choices too. Like you have lots of choices. And Chicago Early Learning is a wonderful program, is a wonderful opportunity for your child to be in a program, in anywhere in the city of Chicago. So patient and choices.
Ooh, I love it. Patience and choices. All right, so you're making it hard for me. I think mine is going to be relationships. I want to affirm you to build on your relationships, start to talk to people within your community, within this community, right? Because one thing we know about families who've navigating pre-K and trying to figure out the right spot is they really find value in hearing from those folks that are closest to them. And so we want to make sure, I want to affirm you today to not only pack your patience, to not only make sure you're talking to the right people, to make sure you're getting the right choice for your family, but to also take your time, right? It's not a rush. This is a big decision that we're asking you to make, and it has impact on your little one as well as your family. So that's how we're going to leave you today in the circle. But Tasha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Leslie, for having me. This was really fun.
I know. I love it, right? This is good. I don't know about you, Tasha, but I am so excited for more families to join us for Circle Time Conversations. This is where we really get into the heart of early childhood and also help to dispel myths for families around our application process and any other thing that they want to know around early childhood education. So join us in the circle. Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the circle. I'm so glad to have you, and just continue to support. And do you want to give the hotline number while we have you?
Yes. Feel free to call the hotline. We have trained application assistance parents, and they can be able to help complete the application for you, help you walk through. They can help you filter any questions you might have, anything that you're thinking about. You just want to know, what is pre-K? What is Chicago Early Learning? What are the different types of programs offered? They'll be able to help you with that. They can help you complete the application, fill out the complete application for you. Because a lot of people know they can accept your offer, because we have some parents that gets really nervous with accepting offers and will contact us just to accept it, just to make sure they're doing everything correctly. Yeah, so they can give us a call at 312-229-1690.
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
312-229-1690.
All right. Thank you. You heard it. 312-229-1690.
1690. They can call the hotline. We're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30.
So please take advantage of Tasha and her wonderful team. English and Spanish.
English and Spanish.
So we'll get you the support you need. Any questions? Because one thing we do here in the circle is we answer questions for families, and we make the process easier, and we learn from one another. Thank you for allowing us to learn from you today.
Thank you for having me, Leslie. I really appreciate it.